When we set out to try to improve health education and community betterment in Palm Beach County, we did so with some specific ideas about what that meant for us. And we have felt that we have wanted to communicate as clearly as we possibly could. And again, we'd be wanting to do this in good times or bad, but it's more important now, and we need to pay more attention to this now. What it is that we're looking for, and so that you know what it is that we're looking for in terms of community impact, because that's what we're trying to achieve. So without memorizing, just as an umpire probably doesn't memorize the entire rule book and can't recite it to you before going out on the baseball field, it's questionable whether some of them even know that there's a rule book when they're out on the baseball field, but that's another matter. And the fact is that, while I couldn't tell you all of them, couldn't list the 40 of them, they're there. And if you want to know what they are, they're there. And I strongly encourage people before approaching us in the future to look to the measures of success, look to the community impact measures for which we're looking, and say, if we're in alignment with you, Quantum, I've got something that may be of interest to you. And if you know you're not in alignment with those, then please don't waste your time. We're happy to look at anything you've got. We'll even be happy to do a referral to other funders who do fit there. But if you really are in a position where you don't have that spare time to go ahead and just take wild chances on funders, then we want to make sure that you're not doing that. And though, again, we will be polite, we will review everything, and we do review everything that comes in, and we try to give you answers as quickly as we can. Now, let me say something about what I think of you all, and because I think this is really important, because we, like the other funders up here, have various programs and services available to provide support to nonprofits in the community to try to improve the skill sets of the nonprofit managers and the nonprofits that are out there. Okay, having said that, let me also say that before I got to the foundation a little over 2 years ago, I also served as an executive director of nonprofit organizations in Connecticut, Texas, and Florida. And my own observation about the nonprofit sector, purely and simply at the bottom line, is that it is significantly better managed and more sophisticated in its management skills than is the for-profit sector or the governmental sector, both of which I had opportunities to work in for extended periods of time in my life as well. So I sometimes feel as if I'm a little bit on shaky ground when we offer certain services to say, okay, we can improve certain skills and efforts. Because I really wish, and my wife understands this about me and knows this because she hears this nearly every day when we get out on the highway, that if only we could hold in nonprofits, or as nonprofits were held to the same standards as the highway construction people are held to, then there is no question in my mind that nobody would think that we're not well managed and that we haven't done a good job in this area. And following along that, any of you who have ever worked with home improvement people or contractors, can you imagine if you had given any of those home improvement people, when they said, I'm going to build you this addition and it's going to cost you $100,000, if you had said to them, terrific, you could build me that addition and I'm going to give you $80,000 for it, though, because I need you to achieve certain efficiencies, but you still have to deliver it on time and under that budget, can you imagine how many of them would survive? So I get it in terms of what it is that you all need to do to survive. And I realize that survival is key on people's minds in bad times, though it should be key on people's minds in good times as well. And so some of the themes that Leslie and Mary have also spoken to, and Betsy will too, are ones that I would simply underscore. This is a time not for mission creep. This is a time to be looking inward and making certain that you are as strong as you possibly can be. This is a time to make sure that if you've got a cash reserve, you keep it. This is a time to make sure that if you can do with one fewer employee or two fewer employees, you maybe want to bite that bullet now instead of waiting 6 months from now or a year from now when the economy's still a little bit worse and finding that it may be 3 or 4 who have to go at that time. This is a time that's going to test every management skill you've got. It's a time that's going to test every fundraising skill you got. It's a time when you're going to need to look to us, funders, not as people who are out there as potential saviors, but purely and simply as our customers. In a sense, we're the people who buy Coke and Pepsi from you. And you've got to convince us and convince others to keep buying Coke and Pepsi. Now, the easiest people to convince to buy Coke, not people like me who won't drink it, but are people who actually drink the stuff. So if you've got existing relationships with funders, you need to be going to those funders. You need to be talking to them as if they're your customers, buying your products from you, because we're the ones who have to see the value in this as a third-party payer for most of these things, and make sure we still do. And if you think your mission's straying from our mission and you still want to be in that relationship, you need to be able to come, talk with us, and work together about making sure we move forward, because it's going to be a lot harder to go out to somebody who you have no relationship with, who you've never worked with before, and sell them on a new and exciting, innovative initiative. A lot harder to sell them than it is to sell us. I mean, think about this. Think about how much money, Coke and Pepsi spend every year just to get people who have been drinking Coke and Pepsi to continue to drink Coke and Pepsi. And they're spending millions and millions and billions of dollars, but millions and millions of dollars on advertising to move their market share, by what, 0.5%, 1%, 2%? And so that's sort of what they're looking for, with a level of sophistication about, finding the dollars that are going to support them. I mean, that's the difference. If you look at the for-profit sector, and the lesson there is in dealing with the competition. I mean, I talk to people all the time about dealing with the competition in the nonprofit sector in a way differently from the way people think. And it's a theme that the first two speakers have said. When you come back to the theme of collaboration, it's this. It's that really what you're looking for is not necessarily competing with other strong partners, but it's finding those other strong partners who do things a little differently than you do, who may be able to augment what you do, so that when we're telling you we're looking for collaborations, you're able to build meaningful ones which say, we both have something to gain here and we both have something to offer, and therefore two of us or three of us are coming to you together to say, look, this is how it all fits. My example that I use there and have sort of thought about recently, because I was involved in efforts to develop electronic health records over a period of time. Now there's a lot of money in electronic health records, right? It's in the stimulus plan. It's going to be out there. It's a great growth field. And anybody who wants to get into electronic health records realizes there are going to be opportunities for money out there. Worst possible thing somebody could do is say, who has no experience in electronic health records, would be to come in and say, okay, I'm going to go into electronic health records now and build one for somebody. Doesn't work. You've got to find somebody who's already been in that work, already been developing that work, and say, look, if I've got the health providers over here in a collaboration, and I can partner with somebody who's got the IT experience to be able to, who's already worked on this, then we can approach the federal government together and get some of those dollars in order to make electronic health records more visible and more viable in this area. So that's the notion of collaboration. It's the most important thing. It's playing strength to strength. And working with people who know you, and working with people who have bought your Coke. That sounds interesting, doesn't it? Bought your or bought your Pepsi, to sound a little more neutral in this, since we're being videotaped, and work therefore together in that partnership with your customers, with the third-party payers, with the foundations and funders and others, to be able to deliver the things of value. We're here to stay. And good times or bad, I'd be delivering the same message to you. There is money available. We have $100 million, and we're going to keep giving money from that, and others up here are going to keep giving money as well. We're looking for well-thought-out, innovative projects. We're looking for the opportunity to fund and to do things that lead to the kinds of impact for which we would be looking in good times or bad. We're looking to work with you all, and we're looking to manage ourselves as well as we can, and to work with those of you who are as well managed as you can be. We will come through this particular these particular economic times and crises sooner or later. We hope it'll be sooner. Some people say maybe it will be later. I wish every week that the Bernanke would go on and say, I think it'll be sooner, because our assets go up those days. And next time the stock market goes up 1% in a day, keep in mind, yay, Quantum's got another $1 million to spend. Anyway, thank you very much.